So I feel like there does need to be a conversation about spiritual weightlifting or the practice of spirituality in different ways, right? Like whatever that could look like for each
Good to start
person.
with the introduction to the show and all this.
Can you say it?
Who are you, by the way? I have no idea who you are. What's your name?
I'm Fola.
Oh, well, nice to meet you, Fowler.
Who
I'm
are
David.
you? Okay. Hi, David.
Hi.
This is our conversation about variety of spirituality topics.
Ritualistic sacrifices, cow mutilations, it's all on the table.
Literally, there's a cow on the table.
Yeah, there's a cow on the table, Fowler. You want to talk about that cow on the table with the organs hanging out?
I
How
want
did
to
it
talk
happen?
about spiritual
Oh,
weightlifting
I'm talking UFOs.
and whatever that means for you in terms of what your spiritual
How did you come
practice.
up with spiritual weightlifting? That's such a unique term. I'm the one that said it, by the way, 10 minutes ago. Spiritual weightlifting, I suppose, is just keeping a regular schedule of acknowledging your spirituality and developing it and strengthening it and connecting it, or whatever that means for different people.
But what does it mean for you? What is your spiritual practice?
Just take a lot of drugs and hope not to pass out. Wow, that's one idea. But regular practices, just alone time and just going to the river and stuff like that. It may not sound like a spiritual practice like yoga or anything complex, but it is beneficial and it does exactly what you want it to do. Build up your connection to greater things, right? And that's what spirituality is. You want to build up your connection to something greater. So when people spend time out in nature, they're doing just that without looking at their phones and all this stuff. I'd rather do that than the warrior pose for an hour. That's just my thing.
I guess my question is where does discipline come into spiritual practice?
That's actually something I'm quite lacking in, so I'm guilty as charged. But I think it's good, because I mean, you're taking it seriously, and it doesn't matter if it's spirituality or working out or anything else. If you put any discipline into something, you get rewarded. Like the more you keep at it, the more you keep chipping away at it, right? And it becomes a habit, and then at some point you stop thinking about it, and you just reap the benefits of that regular routine.
This is like something I've kind of always had challenges with, like, I mean, self discipline in general, but the concept of where does self discipline come in? And then is that always have to be a painful situation or suffering? And then so is suffering necessary for growth or healing? I like in the shamanic work, like we do, it's like that's not really a necessity. I guess
What
it's
is?
we're the ones that put, so maybe we're the ones that put that suffering onto it because we are having all these requirements of ourselves or are expecting certain things to happen, right? And so we like almost like make it so that we're suffering. Whereas if we were to just let go, it would just you'd just be doing the practice and there wouldn't be any attachment to maybe, I guess we could say, like, for instance, fasting, right? Like the fasting. So there's monks who fast for like 30 days or whatever more, right? Like at a time.
Less than 30 days. I think 30 days when he died from starvation.
No, because there's like a documentary where the guys fasted for 40 days. And it was like, even then the doctor was like, you got to be mindful. I mean, but Jesus did that according to the Bible.
Did he have like just plain water or did
I'm
he
not
have
too
juice?
sure. I'd have to watch it.
When they say fasting and I hear people fast, you always have to clarify. Like, look at
no
the Muslims.
No food, but they would drink water.
No food, sure. But if you look at like people that do the fasting
Ramadan?
So if they do that, and I hear them talk about it at work. I'm working with some of them. Oh, I'm fasting. And I'm like, okay. Then you find out they just can't eat until it's like sunset. Yeah. That's not really fasting. I mean, it is, but it's not like the hardcore.
Well, it depends on each person, I think. But, I mean, at that point, so you're creating suffering with removing the food.
Yeah.
But is it just like because we've created that attachment that there's suffering? Really, there is no real like, and especially we both know, like after like a few days of fasting, it's like it just passes and there is no more. It's like you've just become detached from it in a way.
That's
Then
the
you have
whole
periods
point
of
of it.
time, I guess.
You're detaching yourself from the necessity of having food that you don't need, really. I mean, look at all the fatish in your body, right? You can live off of no food for like 30 days. That's what I heard, 30 days. If you're morbidly obese, you could live a year without food. I'm just kidding. So I don't know if the morbidly obese can survive, but the point is that back in the hunter-gatherer days, we didn't go, like, we didn't have 3 meals a day, right? We just had maybe a meal every 2 weeks or something. Like, we never know when our next meal is, so we always ride that biological rhythm of eating at this time and then a week later that time, and it's like, there's no consistency, and maybe that's a natural biological rhythm, right? Is to have that ups and downs as far as the eating goes. Eat a lot, eat almost nothing. Eat a lot, eat a little, kind of thing, right? The 3 meals a day thing is just
Well, it's just an attachment. We've been told, and
propaganda.
yeah, really, I guess if you go into it, we've been told,
Yeah.
and there's different schools of thought around that too, right? Like with the weight training that I did, it's like you ate 5 to 6 meals a day.
You eat more.
So you're eating more. I mean, not more calories, but just more frequently.
More meals.
But again, it's all about, you have to have that discipline in that area of your life in order to gain the benefits. So why not with your spirituality? And I know for me personally, with like that physical side of like weightlifting, whatever, when I was doing it and doing the training, I did experience like that was like the most fit I ever was in my life, right?
You still are
I
fit,
could like,
babe.
thanks. I could like see my body and be like, wow, I could like, I was reaping those benefits, right? But it
The steroids
required,
help too.
yeah, for sure. No, it was like, so why not the same with the spiritual practice? And that requires like daily, like committing to.
Well, it has to be daily. It can be weekly. People go to church once a week.
I know, but with the weightlifting, it's daily. So I don't know. I believe it should be daily. Like that's why, for me personally, I like meditate every day if I can. I'm like reading things lately too, talking about meditation twice a day, and I'm like, I don't really feel like I properly meditate twice a day. Like I might meditate like, and I just say properly like quotations, and that I'll like sit up in a like proper like meditative stance and like do the silent meditation. Then usually at nighttime or in the morning or both, depending on the day, and if I have my child, I might do like a lay down guided meditation, right? But to me, it's like maybe it needs to be more regular, like twice a day. They say, I think that's a transcendental meditation, like 2 times a day or twice a day, 20 minutes each time, right? And people are really noticing that difference. But again, is that because, why is that? Is that just because you believe it's going to like make things more significant for you spiritually? And so we've been told that if you do it, then you experience that result. I mean, there's that possibility. Well, that's the whole premise of like that TM, right? Or like
TM, yeah.
And then the breath work, right? Like I know with the breath work, I don't do that every day. There's periods of times where I will do certain breath work every day. And I do find it helps with like increasing energy and like a clarity. But then I go through periods of time where I won't do it for like days, right? And
Well,
I
why
think,
not if it does all these positive things for you?
but I almost feel too that it's because I'm allowing things to kind of like process in me instead of, because there were times we would do
it's like a rest day. So when you're weightlifting, you take the rest day, and this is kind of like that.
Oh, I like that. I can.
And then you kind of just let it slide for too long, maybe, right? The rest day.
Yeah, and that's what where we had a period we'd have to do it like every other day or every third day or whatever. We do breath work, and it's because sometimes if you do it all the time, it can bring up a lot of things. And I did find my life sometimes would become more chaotic if I was doing it very frequently. Like it's almost like I couldn't like I couldn't keep up with what was happening around me with all the life lessons and like the relationship reactions and all the stuff that I was experiencing or like was being mirrored back to me. So it's like, okay, I need to just calm that down and then do something else, right? And I guess that's where I come in, is that I tend to like go to all these different types of practices, and I'm interested in this thing because I believe like you should make it your own and not just follow someone else's. But I like to like kind like, how about if I do breath work while I do the crystal bed or like things like that? What happens, right? How can I like make it my own thing and find the best possible practice for me, because I think that's important, not just like going and following what someone else tells you to do, right? Because there's millions and millions, infinite, I don't know,
Trillions and
different
trillions.
types of like practices and ways of praying and ways of
4,000
this,
different religions.
right?
Well, it's good to actually think of it as spiritual weightlifting, because then you can actually treat it like weightlifting. Like, oh, Wednesday I got to work on my shoulders or my traps. So what does that mean in spirituality? It could mean Wednesdays I work on being more mindful. And then maybe Friday you work on being more compassionate, for example. Like that would be your legs. That's leg day. And then you can break it up like that.
Take
if you
it
want.
off, yeah, so you have the weekend, you don't have to worry about like getting up and walking.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can like translate your spirituality to an actual discipline like weightlifting, and you can keep up a regular schedule, yeah, Monday is self-aware day, and so on and so forth, then it might actually be pretty good. You structure it that way, and you will get benefits.
And I think it's the main thing with that is it's consistency, right?
Yeah,
Like
the
we have to be
consistency.
consistent
That's the
with
discipline,
anything we
yeah.
do, yeah.
But also the rest days, you gotta allow for that. Like if you don't feel like doing it, don't force
Yeah.
yourself sometimes. I mean, it's good to force it sometimes, and then once you get into it, then you realize this was a good idea after all. But there's also that integration period too, where you do have to take a rest, and sometimes you're just feeding yourself too much, or you're going at it too hard for the wrong reasons. Like you want to fix something, right? But sometimes the fixing is when you're not doing anything.
See, and I'm pretty sure I even videotaped this at one point. I wrote something about it because I had an experience like that once where I kept feeling inside, I could hear this voice like, do breath work, do breath work. And I kept putting it off. And it was like maybe like 5 days later or more. I was like, okay, I'm going to do the breath work. And I did it. And I had like the next 2 days were just like all these things came up. So I know like it was my ego was like really resisting to do the breath work because it knew something was going to come up. I'd have to go back in my journal, like figure out what this all was. I don't remember the exact but I just remember being like, oh, no wonder I didn't want to do it. Like I kept laying down and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't feel like it. And then it was like during the session too, like this thought came to me of like, oh, and then just, yeah, throughout the next couple days, it like all just unfolded and it like progressed me to the next like
The next
area.
level.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is that like time and same. Like what you're saying is sometimes you don't want to go, right? So I guess that's where though you have that accountability partner, right? Like
That's a very good point.
so,
That helps with discipline, absolutely.
yeah,
Doesn't matter if it's just spirituality or weightlifting or even making a commitment to quit smoking or something. If two people are smoking and hold each other accountable, that's always a good idea, actually.
and that's why for me, like say my partner, I would like that, right?
Oh, sneaky.
But not meaning like you do the same, because we've talked about this. Sometimes for me personally, when I would go to the gym, it's like I don't really like always having someone with me, right? I think it's good to have your independence still, but like check in, but you're still kind of doing the same thing or somewhat, or you might have your own personal ways of like doing a certain exercise or an order, right? But you're still there together. You're both like doing this kind of same work, or at least both trying to improve yourselves,
Focusing
right?
on the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you both have a timeline of how long you're going to be there and like you're going to come and go together, and like that is helpful. But yeah, like again, I think we need to be mindful of like, okay, does the other person really enjoy even being there and like doing that practice,
You gotta
or
bribe them sometimes.
maybe. But yeah, I think it's important people have that accountability person or whoever that is, right? If it's like a spiritual teacher or just like a romantic partner or a colleague or a friend or someone in like a spiritual group you're part of, like someone that you maybe even like go back to once every like so many weeks and like debrief about things, right? I think that is important. Like, where are you actually noticing effects in your practice on your life, or are you feeling like there's something lacking and maybe like talking about it, right? Because we don't really do that when it comes to spirituality like some groups do. I know like certain religious groups, they do meet like weekly or whatever, and they have a conversation, right? And people are allowed to talk about where they're struggling. I think there's a benefit to that.
Yeah, for sure. You also don't want the pressure either of having to perform to somebody's expectations, right? That's another risk of it. Like if you hold yourself
Yeah.
accountable and then that person will be nagging you. For example, if you're trying to quit smoking and you snuck a few cigarettes, you don't want to like go there and say, yeah, I'm still quitting, or you feel ashamed that you're not achieving what you're hoping to achieve, and the other person's going to call you to task on it, and you don't want it. You don't want that kind of thing of saying, I'm not good enough, so I'm not disciplined enough. So that's why people kind of just let these things slide. So I think it's a mix of discipline and accountability and other things. And I think for spirituality, you don't need all that much pressure on yourself. You just got to keep it in your mind every day that it's important, right? You don't even have to do anything to make sure you express that. It's just as long as you acknowledge that it is important, and then these other things you follow, whatever needs to happen, yoga or being out in nature or prayer. These things naturally happen as long as you remind yourself that spirituality is important.
And everywhere. Like it's everywhere, yeah. Like you could do
like the
anything.
Matrix, just everywhere.
You can just sit and be present, and that is like this. Yeah. Instead of like having, I have to go to this place and do this certain ritual and at a certain time and like say these certain words. Like there's time and place for all those as well.
It's good for people to have that. Like the habits and rituals make up like a lot of what we do. We wake up in the morning, we brush our teeth, we make coffee, we shave our private parts. Everybody has their own routine and rituals, and we're comforted by these things.
Until you nick yourself.
Wow. That's why it's good to have your accountability partner to shave your private parts for you.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying, exactly. Discipline is important, but so are rest days, and so are being on your own as well as with your partner. I think there's just so many complicated variables. I think the best.
We've just made this more complicated. For
but I think it all comes down to just saying that it's basically remind yourself.
What you're doing, no.
Yeah, well, remind yourself every day that it's important, and that's all it takes. Like maybe have some kind of like motto you live by, right? Or maybe make sure every day that you live by that motto, like write it on a mirror or something like that. Like I know you've done that, right? You wrote it on a mirror, whatever. So maybe just like do that every week. Make a new motto for each week. What do you want the general theme of the week to be? So maybe one week could be I'm more compassionate for this week. And you just keep that in your thoughts, like morning, day, and night.
And I think that's the important part of any practice is like setting your mindset and just stating what it is you want to achieve or work on or whatever. And even you just saying like, I feel like I'm lacking in compassion to other people because it keeps coming up as a theme in your life. Then I would like to see where can I be more compassionate, or what, how can I work through to become more compassionate, or what's holding me back, or where am I fearful of being compassionate, or whatever, right? Because there's a whole wide range. I know for me personally, it's like self-consciousness of like other people judging me, or like all these things, even though I know it's for me, it's like, it's not about myself when you become compassionate, it's about like the person that you're helping, right? But it's like, so trying to like just switch that like mindset, but like being aware of what it is you want to work on, and then putting it out there, and then you just like trusting all the things that you'll do throughout that week. Like, going in nature, maybe you'll see someone doing something that's an act of like compassion, or, or you'll get the opportunity to practice in a certain way, like those acts of compassion, or, or you'll go to some like heart singing Tibetan bowl thing that like helps you open up that part of you. I don't know, there's like a wide range. It's just about being open to then like working through that.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many things people can work on spirituality wise. You'll probably make a whole plan out of this, like a workout plan. If you wanted to actually compare it directly to working out, you can say, these are your rest days, these are your routines, this is what your diet will be. I mean, it's just very suspicious how well
Don't
it translates.
Don't even get me into the diet part. Oh
and then if you want to throw in, like, for example, the spiritual equivalent to steroids would be like psychedelics or weed or something like that, right? If you want to boost up your routine.
Talk about the psychedelics.
Well, if you want to boost up your routine, and if you want to compare it directly to weightlifting, then you have a spiritual equivalent of steroids, and that's psychedelics or marijuana, right, or whatever mind-altering substance you prefer. Even alcohol would work. So you could actually use these drugs as a boost for your own spiritual, whatever your goals are, right?
It translates like so perfectly, because I just think of like bodybuilding champions, right? You have like the classes where there's those, you know, you have like the vegan bodybuilders, right? Who like swear they've like built all their muscle only from like plant-based type protein, and you have those bodybuilders who have used like chemicals, right? And the other ones who are like chemical free. So you know, and everyone kind of thinks the other one's like better than the other or whatever. Like there's a class, right? It's almost the exact same how we, even in the spiritual like realm, you know, you have your vegans or your vegetarians or people who do take psychedelics, or say like you should completely abstain from any type of like mind altering substance, and like,
who says that?
Oh, there's lots of people like
different,
you know, yeah, that like even alcohol or anything like that, it just like puts you in, you know. And for me personally, I don't really know what I believe yet, because I see there's benefits to psychedelics, especially when it comes to like mental health and all that stuff. But I also think, you know, my whole view on like cannabis and how it can open people up to other realms. I think if you're not prepared for what is you're going to experience, it can make things worse for you. So in a way, it's better to abstain from it, right? But I guess that's each person. Yeah, it's each person's. Everyone's different. It's some people it works for really well. Other people it doesn't, right? They take acid once and they like basically like have total connection with the divine, and then from there can't function anymore, whatever it could be, right? So it's definitely a similar kind of arena. Everyone has to find their own way.
Well, it's a stepping stone, right? Maybe you're stuck spiritually. It's like writer's block. How do you break out of it? Sometimes, you know, these drugs do the trick. All you gotta do is just smoke a lot of weed, and then basically, maybe you have that realization that you were hoping to have or something, or who knows, right? Maybe all it is just smoke weed and take a road trip by yourself for a few days and come back, and then you're all renewed and refreshed. And
don't drive while under the influence, by the way.
Why not? On weed?
Let's not have that.
You're gonna drive like a little old lady, like 50 kilometers an hour.
Disclaimer: we are not promoting driving under the influence.
No, I'm totally promoting.
No,
it. Everybody who's listening should.
He is. I'm not, and I'm not connected in that.
And everything. That's so weird when you're holding it. I like when they just left it on the table or something.
We're not sitting at the table.
Anyways.
So yeah, do you have a takeaway? What should your takeaway be for people? Anything as we conclude?
Like what?
I don't know. Do you have any advice?
Advice? Why should I give advice? I'm like the last person to ask.
Advice
for what? Like spiritual?
The advice would be, you need to figure out your own approach to spirituality. Maybe you've always been told you have to do it a certain way or be a certain way. Parents, family, church, religious group, whatever. But you're just feeling like that never really resonated with you. I think we've all been in that situation, and we're always learning, you know, because like you said, we grow up in a society of routine, from like us waking up and taking kids to school and going to work and doing all this, that it just becomes like that second nature. But really you start to doubt, like, how is that really benefiting you? And so it's important to like kind of go into that and just do your own research and like start to ask the questions in your life about what it is that you want to move forward in, right? And what areas maybe you need to look into more. Like if there's always certain themes in our life that we're here for and to uncover. So asking to be either shown what that theme is, and then just trust that you already know what it is. Maybe you just avoid it, because unfortunately it's the thing that screams the most at you. And then just go into like figuring out what your practice is, whatever that is. If it's some type of exercise or just diet or prayer,
I kind of like the idea of devoting 1 hour every day to your mind, body, and spirit. So 1 hour is like, let's say three 20-minute things. So 20 minutes for your mind, 20 minutes for your body, 20 minutes for your soul. And you can break it up into whatever chunks you want, like throughout the day, like 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, whatever. But just think about like 1 hour for your mind, body, and soul. So let's say 20 minutes of walking will satisfy the body. So that's covered. And then 20 minutes of reading something, that's non-fiction, for example, where you're learning. So 20 minutes of that per day, and then 20 minutes for the soul. So it could be anything there, mostly psychedelics and hot, great sex. That would help for spirituality. But like, you could also just go and, go in nature or go to a church even, satisfy that 20-minute thing, right? So,
Lay in the sun.
yeah, that's sure. So I'm thinking maybe that's a good idea. Every day, like that 1 hour, 20-minute sessions for each. I kind of like the idea of it, right? I mean, I'm not committed to doing anything like that, but I know that that's a good way of disciplining. I mean, satisfying everything about you, like spiritually, physically, and mentally. Those are the three most important things that make each other up, I think. So maybe it's a good idea to just think about that 1 hour. Can you devote 1 hour to improve yourself considerably in all areas of your life each day? Sure. I mean, go for a 20-minute walk, 20 minutes of meditating, and 20 minutes of doing something intellectual. And that adds up. It's like every day you keep doing it, it's going to add up and make you a better and better person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad idea to have a routine, right? I'm just too lazy to sit down and write it out. Like, maybe that's just exactly what I have to do is sit down and write it out. Say, this is what I want to achieve. I'll choose that. Break it up into those three categories, mind, body, and soul. What do I want to achieve mentally? What do I want to achieve physically and spiritually? And just write down all the benefits you want to get from each. So let's say physically you want to have these awesome pecs or something like that. So then you focus on push-ups. You want to achieve that? Okay, this is the solution, push-ups. And then you do the same for the other areas. Mentally, you want to learn more about, let's say, I don't know, how to make crystal meth. So you write down, like, what do you need to learn about crystal meth? Chemistry, right? So now you got to study science, 20 minutes a day of studying science. And you'd be just like that Breaking Bad guy. And then you go for, like, spirituality. Like, what do you want to improve there? I'm lacking in... let's say I need insight or realization or something like that. So how would you achieve that? From what? So maybe you have to identify what's most likely brings about those thoughts, and maybe it's like meditating does that for you. So you just put 20 minutes towards meditating.
Or even like, yeah, the compassion, right?
Whatever
Maybe
it is.
volunteering for like a little bit a
Yeah,
week or
volunteering is
something. There's
great
all
for
these
compassion.
different
Yeah.
ways in which I think each person knows what they want to do and give and how that'll like develop them. Yeah. And yeah, writing it down definitely helps.
Yeah, that's where you
It's
commit
like a
to it more.
reminder and yeah.
And it
puts
becomes
out.
real. It's
Yeah.
not these thoughts in your head that someday you're going to do this, or I'm thinking about doing that. No, now you're committed. It's on paper.
And the main thing is that action part, which I know can be a challenge. Yeah. But just doing it and like,
And an accountability partner.
yeah, find your accountability
Somebody
partner.
that sees your list, like maybe you have it on the fridge or something like that, or maybe you live with your partner, and then your partner sees it also on the fridge every day. So they have it in their mind that, oh, my partner should be committing to what they said they were going to commit to. And
From an empathetic and open, safe place too, though, not like a judgmental, like you said, right? People come to like after they quit smoking, then they have a couple smokes, and then people are like waving their finger.
you suck.
It's like
You have no
no
discipline.
and I don't think that happens in a place where people are really trying to help other people grow. It's like, okay, that happened. Now, why did that happen? That you maybe went back to smoking, or you didn't complete your list of things you wanted to do. Maybe it's just those aren't really the things you want to do, and you have to go deeper. Or maybe there's something going on in life, like it's just you have too many things on your plate that it's like becoming a challenge for you to actually maintain. So let's reevaluate, how can that person, like your partner, help you? Like maybe help more with the kids, or like make supper a few times a week to like, so it's not all on you, and then you can take those like 30 minutes to meditate or whatever. So
It's good to
it is
have that
about-
list, and then your
yeah.
partner knows that these things are untouchable. Like, this is your routine. You got to have time for that. Like, maybe you are going to be too busy, and your partner will be like, oh, she doesn't have time to do this thing, so maybe I'll help her make that time or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, or maybe they want to do it with you. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
both go for that 20-minute walk to satisfy your physical requirement for the day or whatever it is.
Yeah, and there's definitely no reason why this all has to be done independently. Like,
No.
you can go with your family. I mean, there's lots of times like my daughter will sit with me and do like a kind of fake meditation or do yoga or something, like, though her attention span's not the best, but like I know, and that also is helping other people then, like getting to that place of like, okay, it's important to practice something and have that time for yourself, right? Like whatever it is. So I think it's good to start it at a young age, and yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
there
yeah.
you go. Yeah, just write down whatever you want to achieve, break it up into a to-do list, make sure you allow for rest days, do as much drugs as possible, and have as much sex as possible, and you should be good.
Okay.
And this doesn't apply to underage people under 18, by the way, so don't take any of this advice.
You do you.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening. I'm signing off.
Well, we're
Till
not getting
next
paid
time.
for any of this.
Are we getting paid? Yeah.
No, we're not.
Paid in love and light. Okay. Thanks. If you have any questions, ask.